The Madwoman's Room in Yorkshire, linked to Charlotte Bronté's Jane Eyre, offers a fascinating glimpse into the author's life and inspirations. The character of Bertha Mason, locked away in the attic, reflects broader themes of mental illness and societal repression. Visitors to the attic can explore the historical context and perhaps even sense the lingering spirit of creativity and tragedy that Brontë experienced. The space not only serves as a connection to the novel, but also as a reminder of the complex realities surrounding mental health during Bronté's time. It's a unique opportunity for fans to immerse themselves in the atmosphere that shaped one of literature's most enduring works. As visitors step into the dimly lit attic, the air feels thick with history. Dust motes dance in the shafts of light filtering through the small, barred windows. The wooden beams creak softly underfoot, as if whispering secrets of the past. A lingering chill brushes against the skin, sparking curiosity about the room's former inhabitant. Charlotte Brontë had often retreated to this space, seeking solace and inspiration away from the chaos of her surroundings. Here, she poured her emotions into her writing, battling the specters of her own thoughts. Some say the energy of her creative struggle still lingers, making the attic feel alive with stories waiting to be told. On this particular day, a group of visitors gathers, their murmurs blending with the sound of rustling paper as they flip through reproductions of Bronté's letters and drafts. One woman, Emma, feels an inexplicable pull towards a corner of the room, where the shadows seem to deepen. Intrigued, she wanders closer, her heart racing as if responding to an unseen force. As she stands there, she begins to imagine the life of Bertha Mason, the woman locked away, silenced and misunderstood. Emma's mind races with questions. What drove Bertha to madness? What dreams had she harbored before being confined to this dark space? A shiver runs down her spine as a sudden breeze brushes past her, despite the stillness in the room. Suddenly, she feels a faint tug on her sleeve, and when she turns, there's no one there. The other visitors are engrossed in their own explorations, but Emma can't shake the sensation that someone or something wants her to uncover a hidden truth. She kneels down, running her fingers along the rough wooden floor, searching for clues. In that moment, the air grows colder, and she hears a soft whisper, almost indistinguishable, weaving through her thoughts. Sounds like a plea, a longing for recognition. Emma's breath quickens as she realizes this is not just a relic of the past. It's a story waiting to be unveiled, one that connects the living to the lost. Driven by a newfound determination, Emma resolves to dig deeper into Bertha's life, knowing that the attic's whispers may lead her to unexpected revelations about both the character and the woman who created her. With each layer she uncovers, the boundary between past and present blurs, beckoning her into a deeper exploration of identity, freedom, and the unseen bonds that tie them all together. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. Emma stood up, her mind racing with possibilities. She glanced around the attic, noting the cobwebs draping the corners and the faint scent of aged wood. Each creak of the floorboards echoed her own heartbeat, as if the room itself were alive with anticipation. Determined to learn more, she approached a small desk cluttered with old papers. Among them, a tattered notebook caught her eye. Its pages were yellowed and frayed, but the ink was still surprisingly legible. As she flipped through the entries, she recognized Bronté's distinctive handwriting, filled with observations about the world outside the attic. One passage leapt out at her. In the solitude of this room, I feel both imprisoned and liberated. The walls hold my fears, but they also cradle my dreams. Emma felt a shiver race through her, as if the words resonated deep within her soul. What dreams had Bertha possessed, lost to the confines of that attic? Suddenly, a soft sound interrupted her thoughts like a sigh carried on the wind. Emma turned quickly, half expecting to see another visitor approaching, but the room was empty. The unsettling sensation of being watched crept back in, and she could almost sense Bertha's presence in the air, urging her to keep searching. Compelled by the mystery, Emma delved deeper into the notebook. In one entry, Brontë mentioned the old oak tree outside the window, a tree that had stood sentinel to both joy and despair. It sparked a thought. Perhaps the tree was a symbol of something greater, a connection between confinement and freedom. Could it have been a source of inspiration for Bertha's character, a representation of what was lost? Emma moved to the window, pushing aside the heavy drapes. The tree stood tall and gnarled against the sky, its branches swaying gently as if inviting her to climb. She pressed her forehead against the glass, captivated by its resilience. What stories might it hold? As she stood there, the whispers returned, clearer now, weaving through her thoughts. They spoke not only of Bertha's pain but of her strength, her defiance against the confines of her reality. Emma felt an urge to honor that strength, to give Bertha a voice in a world that had silenced her. With renewed resolve, Emma returned to the desk, rifling through the papers for more clues. She stumbled upon a loose sheet, hastily scrawled with lines of poetry, words of longing, frustration, and a yearning for liberation. The verses felt alive, echoing the very spirit of Bertha. Emma's heart raced as she read. If I am a shadow, let me dance in the light. If I am a prisoner, grant me wings for flight. These words ignited a fire within her. Emma realized that Bertha's story needed to be told, not just as a character in a novel, but as a woman with her own struggles and desires. The attic, once a symbol of despair, now felt like a sacred space for resurrection. As the last rays of sunlight slipped through the window, casting elongated shadows across the room, Emma felt a shift in the air, a palpable energy that seemed to pulse with possibility. She knew that her journey was only just beginning, and that the attic would serve as both her muse and her guide. With one last glance at the oak tree, Emma stepped back, her mind buzzing with ideas. What if she could weave together Bertha's narrative with her own experiences, exploring the complexities of mental health, identity, and freedom? The attic's haunting whispers would guide her as she began to write each word, a tribute to the woman who had been silenced for too long. And as she sat down to sketch out her thoughts, she felt the presence around her shift once more, like a gentle hand on her shoulder, urging her to let the stories flow. Emma was ready to uncover the truths that lay hidden, both in the past and within herself. Emma settled at the desk, the notebook and loose sheets sprawled before her like pieces of a puzzle waiting to be assembled. With a deep breath, she began to write, letting the words pour out freely. The attic around her seemed to fade, and all that remained was the connection she felt with Bertha, an echo of shared struggles, an intertwining of lives across time. As she wrote, the room transformed. The shadows that had once seemed oppressive now felt like guardians, cradling her thoughts and urging her to dig deeper. Emma wrote about Bertha's isolation, her dreams of freedom, and the flickering hope that shimmered beneath the surface of despair. Each stroke of her pen resonated with the longing that both women felt, an urgency to break free from the confines of societal expectations. Suddenly, a soft sound interrupted her thoughts again. It was a whisper, barely audible yet unmistakably present, urging her to pay attention. Emma paused, her heart racing. "What is it?" she whispered into the stillness, half expecting a response. The air thickened, and she felt the warmth of a presence beside her. The notebook trembled slightly, as if responding to an unseen hand. With a shiver, Emma looked around the attic, her gaze landing on the wall adorned with faded photographs of the Brontë sisters. In one corner, she spotted a particular image of Charlotte and Emily, their expressions fierce and resolute. They seemed to watch her, guiding her through this uncharted territory. Inspired, Emma leaned closer to the desk, her pen moving with newfound urgency. What if Bertha's story was more than just a tale of confinement? What if it was a powerful testament to resilience, a voice for those who had suffered in silence? She scribbled notes about creating a narrative that intertwined Bertha's experience with her own, exploring the struggles of mental health across generations. The sun began to set, casting a warm glow throughout the attic. Emma felt a surge of clarity, as if the very essence of creativity filled the air. She envisioned a story that would not only honor Bertha but also resonate with those grappling with their own battles. It would be a celebration of strength, a reclaiming of agency. As she continued to write, Emma felt a gentle breeze ripple through the room, carrying with it the scent of old books and ink, a reminder of the stories that had come before. She paused to reflect on the significance of the attic, not just as a place of confinement, but as a space of creation, where voices could rise up and be heard. But just as her thoughts began to solidify, a sudden chill enveloped her, and the whispers grew more insistent. "Finish it," they seemed to say, and Emma's pulse quickened. There was a weight to their urgency, a beckoning that stirred something deep within her. Driven by a mix of excitement and trepidation, Emma pushed herself to weave Bertha's narrative into her own, merging their experiences as she wrote about breaking free from the shackles of expectation. She imagined the moment Bertha finally stepped out into the light, the feeling of the sun on her face, the thrill of liberation coursing through her veins. With each sentence, Emma felt the connection deepen. She realized she was not just telling Bertha's story. She was also confronting her own fears, the fear of being unheard, of being locked away in a different kind of attic, one built from societal norms and personal doubts. As the final strokes of her pen captured the essence of their shared struggle, the attic seemed to hold its breath. Emma looked up, feeling the weight of anticipation hanging in the air. She could almost see Bertha standing beside her, a figure of resilience, urging her to finish what had been started so long ago. In that moment, Emma understood that this was more than just a story. It was a bridge between the past and the present, a call to break free from silence and stigma. She knew she had to honor both her own journey and Bertha's, a commitment to tell their stories and give voice to the unvoiced. With renewed determination, Emma took a deep breath and prepared to write the final lines, ready to share a narrative that would echo through time, intertwining their lives in a powerful testament to survival and strength. She could feel the attic's energy shift, a promise of connection that transcended the boundaries of time and space. And so, she began to write once more, the ink flowing freely as she wove together the threads of their lives, ready to reveal the truth that had been hidden for too long. But just as she was about to finish, an unexpected sound broke the silence, drawing her attention away from the page. Emma turned, heart racing, sensing that the real story was about to unfold in ways she never imagined. The sound echoed softly, like a faint tapping coming from the attic door. Emma's heart raced, a mix of excitement and apprehension flooding her senses. Had someone else come to explore this sacred space? Or was it something else entirely? She rose slowly, her pen still poised above the page, the words unfinished. The atmosphere thickened with a palpable tension as she approached the door, every step echoing in the silence. With a deep breath, she reached for the handle and opened it cautiously. The hallway beyond was dimly lit, shadows flickering as if alive. For a moment, Emma felt an urge to retreat, but curiosity propelled her forward. Peering out, she noticed the flickering candlelight at the far end of the hall, casting a warm glow that contrasted sharply with the chill of the attic. Driven by an inexplicable pull, Emma stepped into the corridor. The air felt different, charged with anticipation, as if she were on the brink of uncovering a secret. She followed the light, each step echoing the rhythm of her heartbeat. As she approached, she found herself in front of a door she hadn't noticed before, slightly ajar, with a flicker of candlelight spilling out. The sound of soft murmurs floated through the gap, creating a magnetic pull that urged her to listen closer. "Must be told," a voice whispered, low and urgent. "She deserves to be heard." Emma's breath caught in her throat. Was it Bertha? Or perhaps Charlotte herself? The idea sent a thrill through her. Gathering her courage, she pushed the door open wider and stepped inside. The room was cozy, filled with books, papers, and an old writing desk cluttered with ink pots and quills. A single candle flickered on the desk, illuminating the space with a soft glow. But the most striking thing was the figure seated at the desk, a woman with dark curls and an intense gaze, absorbed in her writing. "Who are you?" Emma asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman looked up, and a knowing smile spread across her face. "I am she who has been waiting for you," she replied, her voice warm yet commanding. "I am the echo of voices long silenced." Emma stepped closer, her heart racing. "Are you Bertha?" The woman nodded, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of sadness and strength. In a way, yes, I am the spirit of those who have fought for their stories to be told. But I am also a reflection of you, of every woman who has ever felt confined by circumstance. Emma felt a wave of understanding wash over her. This was no mere ghost. It was a manifestation of the struggles faced by women throughout history. But how? She stammered, overwhelmed by the moment. Every story, every struggle, is intertwined, Bertha replied, gesturing to the stacks of papers around her. You are writing not just for me, but for all who have come before and will come after. Your words have the power to break chains. Emma felt tears prick her eyes. I want to honor you, to give you a voice, to share your story. Bertha leaned forward, her expression earnest. Then you must write truthfully without fear. Let the world see the depth of my existence, the layers beneath the madness. It is not merely a tale of confinement. It is a story of resilience, of love, and of liberation. The candlelight flickered, casting dancing shadows across the walls as Emma absorbed Bertha's words. She realized that her own journey mirrored Bertha's in many ways: the struggle for autonomy, the quest for understanding, and the desire to be seen. What do I do? Emma asked, a mixture of urgency and reverence in her voice. Let the stories flow through you, Bertha encouraged, her eyes gleaming with inspiration. Write not only for me but for every woman who has been cast aside. Use your voice to illuminate the darkness. With newfound clarity, Emma turned back toward the desk, the unfinished pages beckoning her. She felt the weight of the pen in her hand, a tool not just for writing but for change. Bertha's presence surrounded her, urging her to embrace the power of storytelling. As she returned to her seat and picked up the pen, Emma could feel the energy in the room shift again. It was as if the very walls were alive, ready to witness the birth of a narrative that had been waiting for centuries to be told. With every stroke, she poured her heart onto the pages, intertwining her own experiences with Bertha's, creating a tapestry of truth that transcended time. And in that moment, the attic no longer felt like a place of confinement. It became a sanctuary of creation, a space where voices could rise and stories could flourish. But just as she began to lose herself in the flow of words, a sudden knock at the attic door jolted her back to reality. Emma hesitated, the pen hovering above the paper. Would this new intrusion interrupt the magic she felt? Curiosity mixed with trepidation. She turned toward the door, sensing that whatever lay beyond might bring yet another twist to the unfolding story. With her heart racing, she set the pen down and moved towards the door, ready to face whatever awaited her on the other side. With a deep breath, Emma approached the door, feeling the energy in the room shift once more. The knock echoed softly again, a gentle reminder that she was not alone in this space of creation. She opened the door, revealing a figure silhouetted against the soft light of the hallway. Standing there was an elderly woman, her face lined with wisdom and experience, eyes sparkling with a mix of curiosity and recognition. I heard you up here, she said, her voice warm yet strong. I've come to see what you're creating. Emma hesitated for a moment, unsure how to explain the profound experience she had just shared with Bertha. But there was something familiar about the woman, a sense of understanding that transcended time. I'm writing a story, Bertha's story, Emma finally said, her voice steadying as she spoke. The woman's eyes widened with interest. Ah, Bertha Mason, she said thoughtfully, a character often misunderstood. Her story deserves to be told. Emma nodded, feeling an instant connection. Yes, I want to honor her struggles and resilience, to give her voice back. The elderly woman stepped inside the attic, her gaze sweeping over the papers scattered across the desk. You are on a remarkable path, she said, her tone sincere. But remember, every story has many layers. It's not just about confinement. It's also about the fight for identity and the courage to break free. Emma felt a rush of inspiration at the woman's words, sensing that this encounter was another piece of the puzzle. Do you have a story of your own? She asked, intrigued. The woman smiled, a hint of nostalgia in her eyes. Oh, many. I've spent my life listening to the stories of others, collecting their truths, their joys, their sorrows. Stories connect us all, across generations. With a spark of excitement, Emma invited her to sit. "Can you share some of those stories with me? I want to weave them into Bertha's narrative, to show how intertwined our experiences are." The woman nodded, her expression shifting to one of reflection. "Of course, let's begin." As they shared stories, the hours slipped away, the attic alive with laughter and tears. The woman spoke of women who had fought against societal norms, of those who had found their voice despite the odds. Each tale resonated deeply with Emma, enriching her understanding of Bertha's character and illuminating the struggles women faced across time. With every shared story, Emma's pages filled with words that honored not just Bertha, but all the women whose lives were shaped by their circumstances. The pen danced across the paper, fueled by a newfound urgency to ensure that no voice remained unheard. Eventually, the candle on the desk flickered low, casting soft shadows in the gathering dusk. Emma paused, glancing at the woman beside her. "Thank you for sharing your stories," she said, her heart full. "They've transformed my writing in ways I couldn't have imagined." The elderly woman smiled, a glimmer of pride in her eyes. "Remember, dear one, stories are powerful. They can heal, connect, and inspire. Keep writing, and never underestimate the impact of your words." With renewed determination, Emma returned to her writing. The attic felt like a sanctuary, a place where the past and present converged, where the spirit of Bertha and the wisdom of countless women intertwined in a tapestry of resilience. As she wrote the final lines, Emma captured not just a story but a legacy, one that celebrated the strength of women who dared to reclaim their voices. With the last stroke of her pen, she felt a wave of relief and fulfillment wash over her. And then, a gentle breeze swept through the attic, carrying with it the whispers of encouragement and gratitude. Emma looked up, sensing the presence of Bertha, Charlotte, and all the women who had come before her, watching over her journey with pride. The door creaked open slightly, as if inviting her to step back into the world. Emma took a moment to gather her thoughts, glancing at the pages filled with words that now felt like a beacon of hope. As she exited the attic, the elderly woman smiled knowingly. "You've done something wonderful here. You've given a voice back to the silenced." Emma beamed, her heart swelling with purpose. "I couldn't have done it without the stories that connected us all. They're a reminder that we are never truly alone." With that, Emma stepped into the hallway, the light of the candle flickering behind her. The attic had transformed from a place of confinement into a sanctuary of creativity, a space where stories were born and voices reclaimed. As she walked away, she felt the weight of the past lift, replaced by the promise of the future. Emma knew her journey was just beginning, and with every story she would tell, she would continue to honor the echoes of those who had come before, forever illuminating the path for those yet to come. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.